What's up, guys? It's Mickley again here on Railroads Online. Today, if you couldn't tell or are new here, we're on my save. I got a couple things to show you. First off, this happened thanks to Pharma. So that's going to be our first order of business. It's going to be taking that down. So let's go ahead and hop into just a short little time lapse of me taking this thing down from here. Enjoy. Alright, we've got the train down, all pinned up, ready to go. However, there is one more little thing that we gotta take care of. And that's this. This wobble here. So, Clown showed me a tool that someone made called railroad.studio. That's the URL. And you can upload your save file and combine splines similar to how he does it. And in fact, the creator, as far as I'm aware, took inspiration from Clown's method of laying track to reduce spline count in order to create the tool and reduce the number of splines in your world in order to reduce lag, especially at loading time. However, when you have small segments of spline next to longer segments of spline, the control points can get a little funky sometimes. So all we got to do to fix that is relay the spline. So we're going to come over to it, snap to this control point, skip this one, since that's the problem one. We want to go ahead and skip. Let's see, where's the one after that? Okay, so we definitely want to skip this one and use the second one so that we skip out on this. I think it's a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tie segment. There, you can see the link. Actually, it is a 7 tie segment. So it's a 7 tie segment next to like a, I don't know how. It's fairly long. Anyways, it's a shorter segment compared to the rest of it, so we're just going to find that second control point. Go ahead and bypass that little wobble there. See how it kicks out like that? And then we're just going to come over here, and since the rest of the turn is fine, we're going to go ahead and link up to every single control point. And it does look like this turn is actually laid with full-length segments, which would explain why the 7 tie length was so wonky. And you'll see here, oh, that's interesting. Did I miss the link? It would appear that I missed the link. Okay. So what we're going to do there is go ahead and end that. And I'll get back to what I was saying. And again, all this is going to get deleted out from underneath. So go ahead and link up. Link to the first joint. Skip the problem joint. Link up to the joint after it. Take this one. Make sure we get that little link bar. This one. This one. Here's this one. I want to make sure that we link to this far one. Yeah, see how it's just a little bit different? So link to that one. Now it should let us link here. Perfect. Link here. Right, so what I was saying, so you see how this spline here is straight? It's not curved like the rest of it. So it's essentially a tangent, and at least in Clown's method, the way you get rid of the tangents is either A, you end on a straight, or B, you lay one extra segment of spline, because essentially we're not laying track here. We're plotting points on an invisible graph to say, hey, plot the curve of the track around these points. And with the last point currently in the game, there's not a way, hopefully it's coming with the spline update, but there's not a way for it to project where it would keep going, so it just ends up with this wonky straight piece. Just like that. See how it's straight? The rest of it's curved. So what you got to do is end on a straight bit like this. And then that way, everything else is curved, and that conforms to the straight bit of the spline. I mean, it's a little bit, it's not quite perfect, again, because it's not a perfect curve. But the trick is you go like that. So I entered the menu and I selected the delete rail till you look off into the distance where you can't place rail. Hold your mouse button down, and we just want to come back over, and you can see right in front of us, boop, and there goes the other earlier spline segment. And you can just tell based off of how the track changes. So see how you see it like that? There's a little bit of Z fighting specifically right there. So I mouse over it and bam, the old segment's gone. And then this way we have one spline in between those 2 points. So that's going to be that switch that we're approaching and the switch we just left behind over there. And it makes your save file smaller. And now we should see this nasty kink come right out, nice and polished. Go over it once more just because we laid a couple just to make sure it's not quite there. And again, there's a little bit of a wobble, but nothing that's going to derail the train like it was before. And then you go ahead, stop holding the left click and just right click the spline in, and now you have good track. Okay, so there's a couple other problem spots. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut away into a little clip of me adjusting my save file. and go ahead and cut away to that. While you guys were gone, I've gone ahead and started running this train, taking it from the ironworks, you can see in the background, and over to the sawmill. We're going to load it up and then store it for later trips to the iron mine. Sawmill's one of the other places that they got messed up. It's one of the places on the map where I've laid the most garbage track possible, and I've relayed it a total of at least 4 times. So this makes the at least 5th time. I'm saying at least because I probably miscounted, honestly, at some point. In terms of the whole analogy with the, if you remove every board from a boat and replace it with a new one over the course of several years, is it still the same boat? Well, that applies to the sawmill for me. So we're going to go ahead and take Jacobson, Heisler number 2, over there, fix up that area because that area has a lot of short and long length splines that have been mixed up by that tool. Now, I'm not saying the tool is bad. I'm just saying if you have bad track, like me, since this was my first original save, then it's not gonna look that nice. And you'll see coming up here soon, as you saw it in the little time lapse, I actually deleted half of this main yard. And honestly, I'm probably going to delete the other half as well, just for better loading times. I'm not sure if I really want to in terms of dealing with this Y here. That's why I didn't delete it in the first place. But it's just not going to be used. It's not really feasible, and I've seen that bump there. So we're actually going to take a detour and go fix that one real quick. But like, I have this whole yard, but the game isn't strong enough, I guess, in order to support that much rolling stock. This is a nice short spline as well. Okay. And it's not feasible to have such a large yard. It just takes more time to load in, and it doesn't really cause lag. I have found that lag is more caused, like at least in terms of smaller frame rate, it's more caused by rolling stock. But it's not fun. It's not fun to not have 60 FPS, and I don't need it. So for fixing this curve, you can see that there's a bit of wonk in it. The control points aren't that good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hook up to these. Actually, we're gonna alt lock, and then we're gonna hit this control point. Yeah, see, there was a nasty kink in there. And then we're gonna come over to this control point. And we're just gonna, yeah, let's curve it a little bit more. Now we don't have the UI because I looked at a switch and I feel dumb for it. This is a full-length spline. which means that won't lay very nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back, look for a 9 tie segment. Want it to come in just a tad more. Give it 2 degrees. 1 degree. Go ahead and click that in. Come look for the other link here. Where are you at? There you are. Probably just going to link to it. Yeah. And that should keep our height nice. That's another 9 tie segment. I'm going to start to back it out of the corner though, just by 1 degree. And I might come relay this after. Let's see. Let's back it out another degree. So we're looking at that 9 tie segment. We want to lay it level with the track. So just right there, like so. Now I think we're going to take it out even 1 more degree again, and hopefully get this into a nice curve here. I might have to adjust some points and relay it just a little bit. Oh, yep, I gotta relay it because I clicked wrong. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this erroneous piece here. And I think, yeah, let's come back from the switch this time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this first bit of rail. We're gonna get in a crossover just so we know it's straight. Link to both ends of the crossover. Okay, good. We have the UI now. Turn on that alt lock. Look for a 9 tie segment since I don't want to be using these control points. Go ahead and kick it out straight out to 5 degrees. Give it 5. Another 9 tie segment. Give it. Let's try 8. For that 9 and then place. And again, I'm just watching the rail here on the left where it changes from the little bit over to the tie there. I can show you on the alt lock so you see how it changes there. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. I'm just going to keep it at 8, see where we go, see where we end up. Again, looking for that tie change. And now knowing that it's at 8, I can always change it to 9 if it's not a steep enough curve. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. Let's get that in there. And again, you want to stay just off to the side there so it's not going to be placing above the track. And it's looking like we're definitely not going to make it. So we're going to try, actually, yeah, 9 should be fine. So we're just going to leave that there. And grab some more rail off the end of this. You can already see it's looking much better in terms of getting the kinks out. So another segment here, link it, go ahead and alt lock it. Find that 9 tie segment, which means we can use these control points straight out to 5. And then out to 9, which is our intended degree of curvature. So we should see, yep, it's just slightly to the right. We could probably do 10, but I'm just going to do 9. If I have to do 10, oh well, I'll relay it again. So again, I'm going to find that link right at the 9 tie segment. There we go. Where's my link at? There we go. That's already looking much better. So let's go and kick it out to 7. Look for that 9 tie segment. Look for the 9 tie segment. And that's just to keep the segment spacing even while maintaining resolution of the curve. Because the more points you use to plot a curve, the neater it's going to be. Okay. So the 9 ties right there. So I think, yeah, we can hook up there. And then let's see. Okay, so that's about a 2. That's good. So we can take our alt lock off, swipe it around, make sure it's off. Link there, link there, link there. link there, link back to the switch. And then we want to go ahead and look off in the distance. Hit our menu, demolish rails, go ahead and click and drag. You gotta make sure not to click in somewhere the rails can be placed in, because then it will just ruin your last little bit there, and I'll show that in a second. Let's just get rid of all of these, make sure they all get deleted so we're not going to be derailing on them later. You definitely want to make sure to come in here and just really swipe over this thing because you want all the extra bit of segments deleted. Go ahead and right click, delete this boy, and there we go. One nice curve and a nice spline. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just come over here real quick. And we're going to lay a semi-nice curve, just freehand like so. You see? Pretty decent for a freehand curve. That's honestly pretty decent. I'm getting better at this. But if you accidentally lay a piece like this, and I want you to go ahead and watch this segment right in front of me here. If you lay a piece like this, you get a nasty kink out of there. And then, when you go to delete your last segment, this segment's just absolutely wonky nasty and will derail your train if you get it too bad. Like, obviously there is some leeway. I have seen in this game trains go over to like absurd track and not derail somehow, and I genuinely don't know what black magic those people are doing. But like, I guess it works. Personally, I like to have nice rail, and I'm not super like, I don't have a ton of time in order to get the rail to where I want it, but usually I can get it reasonable. Do we have a brake on somewhere? How are we going so slow? Huh. No brakes. Strange. Again, I'm getting 23 FPS. I'm probably going to end up deleting most of that yard, just because I can't be bothered. You know, it's not worth having. I don't use it for anything. All it is eating up FPS, like I was sitting at 30 to 40, and then I come over here and I'm at 20. You know, speaking of, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and do that right now. I'm here, might as well. It's not gonna be the prettiest of jobs, but I will be right back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and deleted the rest of that. Left these 3 switches in because, I don't know, maybe I'll put something back there later. A couple lanes or something. I've just connected up back here, just straight up to the Y, for usage and such. Let's go ahead and make sure we're aligned really quick. Looks good. And just, you know, I'm up a few FPS. It's not there anymore. If I need to put it back, I can always revert back to an old save and just edit some stuff to be where it needs to be in terms of money. Now, it's kind of cheating a little bit to do it that way, but if it works, right? I did check most of the track. All of this is fine. It's not the greatest of curves, but none of them are, like, there's a little bit of wobble here, but it's not any of the short segment stuff that's going to cause the train derailments. And while it is sad to see the yard go, it needed to be done. It was excessive. The game doesn't run with that much rolling stock as would be needed to populate that. I had it calculated out. It was going to be like 200 cars just in that yard, and you drop 10 FPS looking at 30 cars, which is unfortunate, but just the way it is. Physics bottlenecks, etc. And that stuff is being worked on with the new update coming out soon, TM, eventually at some point, when it's done. And that should help mitigate some of the issues. Obviously, it won't mitigate all of them, because there's always going to be issues. That's the nature of this kind of game. Always issue after issue after issue. You squash one bug and 10 more come out of the woodwork. So we're going to go ahead and just check training emergency, because there are no costs for that. And go ahead and look over at these log cars real quick, because I did some stuff with them too. So essentially I used to have, originally, 8 lanes of 8 cars of logs each, meaning 64 cars. Then I cut that in half to 32. And I want to have some more cars elsewhere, so I've cut it again. There are now 2 sets of 8 and 1 set of 4. And I think, I'm not really sure what to do with this yet. Probably still just going to run the 2 of 8. But eventually, assuming it takes long enough before the Spline update comes out on this map, I want it to be 2 lanes of 10, which is why I kept the other 4. So it'd be a 3-lane yard with 1 lane for shunting the empties into, and then 2 sets of 10, or two sets of 2 sets of 5. So 5, 5, 5, 5, because you can fit 5 cars just perfectly over there in front of the pond. Now, I don't think on this particular railroad that Betsy here can haul 10 cars at a time. So we're going to go ahead and stick with 8 and figure that out sometime later. But now it's time to come over here and look at this monstrosity. So all of this track is fine. All of the logging camp track is fine. It's all longer segment lengths, but I had to do some finagling to get stuff to work correctly here, such that it wouldn't, the way I was trying to do it was so that it wouldn't show up with the curves on Minizwerg within a certain radius. For those of you who aren't familiar, Minizwerg is the mapping tool website. So like these two look fine. There's a little bit of jank there with that small piece on the end, but I can live with it. Probably won't derail. If I end up derailing, I can always relay it. Probably gonna relay it at some point anyways. But the fun bit here, so just look at this. You got a wobble and then a straight up corner into some weird wobbly track into another straight up corner, and then it's a decent curve back into another corner. Like, this one's really bad. Like, there is no way anything, even Betsy's, getting over that. However, because of how it is, it doesn't show up on Minizwerg. That's just a side effect to using the tool. And there's a couple more bits over here. Like, you can see one right there. There's another in this line here that I'm standing on. It's not as noticeable, but it's definitely a wobble that I want to fix. But this is the track that gets used the most. So I'm going to go ahead and steal control points from this one and that one, and go ahead and just speed it up for a second for you. I don't know. Maybe I'll put music over it. Depends on how long it takes. Hopefully it doesn't take me more than a couple minutes. Maybe I'll keep it at full speed. I don't know. We'll find out. That is a problem for future me, editor me, to decide. So yeah, here we go. Alright, and that should be it. We've gone ahead and gotten this curve better. I mean, it's still not my favorite with this bit here. It's just one segment that's 30 degrees, but it shouldn't derail. Looks better than it did. I'm not 100% sure if it looked better than it did originally, but at least in terms of tie spacing it does. This end is a little bit wonky too, but it should work just fine. Go ahead and check the Minizwerg once it updates just to see how that goes. And then this curve I do like up until the last little bit of segment there, and I had some issues laying it. You might have caught that in the time lapse. There's this little bit of wobble here, but the only thing that should ever be going around this track is a Betsy, this particular section, so it should be fine. I've also since noticed that this bit also needs redoing. I'm going to go ahead and do that one next. Alright, so gone ahead and edited a bit of it, looked at some other bits and realized that they weren't so bad that they would need fixing, hopefully. I mean, if we derail over it, we derail over it and then it's content, right? Right, it's all for the content. It's not me being lazy at all. Not at all, not one bit. We're gonna go ahead and get this train loaded up. Alright, we're all loaded. Gonna go ahead and just store this train. And then that's gonna be all from me. Thank you everybody for watching. Hope you had a great time, and I hope your day goes very well.